In a landmark decision, the U.S. Supreme Court has overturned the Trump-era tariffs, a move that has been long anticipated by many. This decision is sending shockwaves through global markets, causing immediate reactions and adjustments. For years, these tariffs reshaped trade, sparked economic battles, and raised prices for families worldwide, affecting everyday life. The ruling dismantles a core pillar of protectionist policy, signaling a fundamental reset in America's economic relationship with the world. A shift that could redefine future trade dynamics. Goods like cars, phones, and food, once at the center of a trade war, may now see a return to more open markets, potentially lowering costs. The decision ends a major conflict but introduces new uncertainty for businesses and workers who adapted to the old rules, leaving them to navigate a new landscape. At its heart, this is a story about power. The case challenged the president's authority to impose sweeping tariffs without ongoing congressional approval, a significant legal battle. The justices have now drawn a line, limiting future presidents' economic powers and rebalancing authority between the executive and legislative branches, a historic decision. Leaders in Europe and Asia are welcoming the move, hoping for normalized trade, while some U.S. industries see it as a threat to their survival, fearing increased competition. The verdict forces a global reevaluation of supply chains and international partnerships, prompting businesses to rethink strategies. The world was watching, and the court has spoken decisively, marking a pivotal moment in trade history. This is just the beginning. The impact will be felt in markets, factories, and political arenas worldwide as nations adjust to the new reality. The next chapter of global trade is about to be written, with new opportunities and challenges on the horizon.
To fully grasp today's complex news landscape, we need to revisit the pivotal year of 2018, when the Trump administration imposed significant tariffs, citing reasons of national security and unfair trade practices. By using Section 232 of a Cold War-era law, these tariffs targeted steel and aluminum imports from both allies and rivals alike. The primary goal was to protect American manufacturing and jobs under the America First banner, a key campaign promise. This move sparked a global trade war. Other countries retaliated, targeting U.S. products ranging from soybeans to motorcycles. The tariffs on China were the most extensive, citing issues like intellectual property theft, and resulting in taxes on hundreds of billions in goods. Supply chains were thrown into chaos as companies scrambled to adapt to the new economic landscape. While some U.S. producers saw benefits, many manufacturers and farmers suffered from higher costs and lost markets, impacting livelihoods. Economists fiercely debated the tariffs' long-term impact on the economy and global trade. The use of a national security law for economic protectionism fueled numerous legal challenges and debates. This widespread disruption set the stage for today's historic Supreme Court decision, which could reshape future trade policies. The consequences of that gamble are now being felt worldwide, affecting economies and markets across the globe.
The legal battle began soon after the tariffs were imposed, led by steel importing businesses arguing presidential overreach. They claimed Section 232 gave the president unchecked power to set trade policy, authority meant for Congress. Lower courts hesitated to challenge executive power on national security, but a key dissent argued the law was being misused for economic protectionism. This dissent laid the groundwork for a Supreme Court showdown. Plaintiffs warned that if national security could mean anything, the president's power would be virtually unlimited. The Supreme Court agreed to hear the case, signaling a willingness to revisit the limits of presidential authority. During arguments, justices pressed both sides on the true limits of executive power under Section 232. The case became a defining test of the separation of powers in modern trade policy. The outcome would shape not just tariffs, but the very balance of power in Washington. The stakes could not have been higher. The Supreme Court's 6-3 decision declared the use of Section 232 for broad economic protectionism an unconstitutional overreach. The majority opinion, by Chief Justice Roberts, stated that national security must have a clear link to military defense, not just economic health. The Constitution gives Congress, not the president, the power to regulate foreign commerce. Future presidents must now prove a direct threat to national defense to justify such tariffs. The dissent warned this weakens the presidency and creates legal uncertainty. The ruling immediately invalidates Trump-era steel and aluminum tariffs under Section 232. Legal experts say it sets a precedent, signaling skepticism of unchecked executive authority in trade. The government can no longer collect these tariffs, and companies may seek refunds.
Global markets reacted instantly. U.S. stock futures surged, with the Dow opening over 500 points higher. Automakers and construction firms saw stock prices jump, anticipating lower production costs. Asian and European markets rallied, and international steel companies soared. Commodity prices for steel and aluminum began to adjust, signaling a global supply and demand reset. Not all benefited. U.S. steel producers' stocks fell sharply, losing their protective shield. The tariffs had created winners and losers. Now, the tables have turned. The U.S. dollar weakened slightly as global trade prospects improved. Central banks are watching closely. The end of tariffs could ease inflation and influence interest rates. The ruling has triggered an economic chain reaction still unfolding. Investors are recalibrating, and businesses are bracing for a new era. The market's message is clear. The rules of the game have changed. Winners and losers are being reshuffled in real time. The world economy is on the move.
The political fallout in Washington has been swift and deeply partisan. Congressional leaders who oppose the tariffs call it a victory for constitutional order and a check on executive overreach. Some are pushing for new laws to further limit presidential tariff powers. Protectionist Republicans and Trump allies condemn the ruling as a betrayal of American workers. The White House is treading carefully, promising to review the decision and focus on fair trade. The ruling empowers Congress if it can overcome its own divisions. Lobbyists are already preparing for a new legislative battle. The legal fight is over, but the political war over trade policy is just beginning.
What does this mean for you and your everyday spending? Expect lower prices on goods like cars, appliances, and even groceries as tariffs disappear and companies' costs drop, making products more affordable. Some of these savings should reach consumers, though not overnight, and not always equally. Industries using steel and aluminum may expand, invest, and hire more workers, while U.S. mills could face layoffs from increased foreign competition, creating uncertainty for some. The global supply chain, once disrupted by tariffs, will become more efficient and reliable, reducing shortages, stabilizing prices, and making shopping less stressful. Some companies may reconsider where they manufacture products, weighing costs, logistics, and new opportunities. The impact on your wallet depends on your job, your industry, and what you buy most often. For most, the end of the trade war means less inflation and lower prices for big-ticket items and everyday essentials. For workers in protected industries, uncertainty and anxiety about the future still loom. This decision is a reminder. Supreme Court rulings can hit home in very real and personal ways. The ripple effects will be felt in paychecks, prices at the store, and job markets across the country, touching nearly every household. The trade war's end could mean real relief for many American families, easing financial pressure. The story is personal now, affecting lives in ways big and small.
The Supreme Court's decision has drawn swift responses from world leaders. The European Commission welcomed it as a win for rules-based trade and a chance for renewed cooperation. Retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods may soon be lifted. In Asia, Japan and South Korea expressed hope for more stable economic ties. China's response was cautious but optimistic, seeing a possible shift away from U.S. protectionism. The ruling doesn't directly affect tariffs on Chinese goods, but it signals a changing political climate. Not all are celebrating. Developing countries with small steel industries worry about increased competition. Still, the dominant mood is optimism. The end of tariffs could ease diplomatic tensions and revive alliances. As one European diplomat put it, it's easier to be friends when you're not in a trade war. The world is watching America's next move. The global trading system is poised for change.